Hello, welcome to today's class. We're going to be focusing on our glutes. You're going to need a couple things for today's class. One is a resistance band, all right? You may or may not use it, but ideally we're working towards using it. Second thing you're going to need is something higher to step up on. Now, I have this box behind me, but realistically, because of what we're working with when we're dealing with pain in the body, I want you to find something that's a little bit more than you usually do. So I want you to find something that is more than a step and manageable. All right, we don't need to have something as big as this box behind me, but I want you to challenge yourself just a little bit. Now, that being said, remember, we are playing on whisper edges. We're not going for full max fatigue. We're working on doing the movement, finding the strength in it, finding the grounding in it, and playing with being able to work with ease, which is different than easy, but work with ease and build that strength and push ourselves past the normal. Okay? Not to the maximum, but to the normal. Now, if you're not too familiar with the difference between ease and easy, here we go. Easy is easy, something we do every day. It's not beyond our limit in any way. That. Ease means you're doing something with effort, but there is little bracing or gripping. You find stability, you find grounding, you use your breath. That's what we work on in the critical movement practice that you've likely been doing, hopefully. If you haven't, go do it, but this is good too. So we're gonna get started in a side plank. Now I do have my yoga mat here behind me. Now I also do have some weight. Weight is an optional thing because when we go to do that work with the block, you may want something a little bit heavier. You might not. Depends on where you're at. Now, let's get started. I'm going to move this block out of the way here for a second. And we're going to get started in a side plank position. Okay? Now, in a side plank position, what I want you to do is bend your knees and lift up. So if you could see, I need a light behind me. If you could see, my pelvis is lifted up. Now, here's the deal. We're just going to drop the hip and press back up. Drop the hip and press back up. Okay? This is the movement right here. We're hanging out right here. And in terms of how many I want you to do, I want you to feel that edge where you start to work. Now, if you've gotten to this point and it's not too bad yet, what I want you to do is lift the other knee and just muse the bottom leg. And if you did that, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, now I can feel it. All right? We're looking for that edge where you can feel it and your body goes, wow, and it really wants to stop. But you take 1 to 2 more movements with that ease, that connection to your breath, that connection to feeling grounded. Let's do the other side because I don't want you walking in circles. Again, you can start with one knee on top. We're dropping the hip and lifting up. Now remembering, once we got to a certain point, I recommended if you weren't feeling it, that you could take that top leg, lift it up. So now we're really focusing on that bottom leg and into that glute. Okay? Excellent. Right there. All right. And again, we're going to do it one more time. We're doing it twice on each leg, twice on each side. We're going to move into other side. Roll it over again. Okay? Taking it here. You can lift this leg or not. We're dropping down, pressing up. Okay? Watch that you're not rotating back. We're just dropping the hip down and pressing up. It's a controlled movement. Do note on the arm that you're balancing on You're pressing through your forearm. Okay, good. And right there. Now we can switch sides. Okay, again, leg on top or lifted, dropping down, pressing up. Dropping down, pressing up. There we go. Excellent. Good. All right, that's that side glute. I'm sure you can feel it. Excellent. Now, we're going to take this into pressing back. This one, if you'd like to balance with something, you can use something to balance on, okay? You might be okay without balancing, but it's up to you. I'm going to take this band, I'm going to loop it over one ankle, okay? Oh. And I'm going to loop it through my foot here, okay? So I have this position. Now, my right leg is going to be my stable leg. I'm balancing. I can also take my hand and balance it on this block. I'm going to take the other leg and press back, okay? I'm pushing back with my foot. I'm pressing back with that leg. Now, we just did a full side movement. Now, if I go here, your stronger movement pattern is going to be out to the side this way. That's the pattern I want you to work right now, okay? You're slightly going out to the side. We're not going straight back right now. We're going slightly out to the side to press, all right? Right here. Excellent. Good. Super easy transition. We're just going to switch sides. I'm going to take that around one ankle, my other ankle. Okay, I'm going to pivot and press out to the side and back. And you'll notice my left leg. It has a bit of bend in it. It's not locked straight. Okay, it's got a bit of bend so that you've got that balance. Okay, if you were going to work on this without holding on to anything, again, you can take it one step further, all right? And because of what we're doing, we're going to do this one more time. I'm going to do this balanced. I'm here. My foot is in this. I'm going out to the side and back. I'm hinged forward slightly, out to the side and back. Good. Balancing. That's going to give this balance leg some extra work. You're going to feel it in both legs. And again, we're working towards that point where the body's like, oh, I can feel this. However, you still have a bit of ease in it. We're not going to full fatigue, okay? Because of when we work with pain, we want to play in this edge. We're going to switch sides. We're going to play in this edge of working with the nervous system. Oh, I'm going to hit that block. I'm going to move over here. Okay? Working with the nervous system to make sure it feels safe. And sometimes when we push and we go to our fatigue, the nervous system doesn't feel like it's listening to us. Okay? And then it still elicits those pain responses, which it might after doing this workout. Okay? But bring it back to that sense of calm, that sense of ease, and find that the sensation that you've worked on, that you've created right now, is a tissue adaptation, not tissue damage. Remind yourself of those two things, because especially if your SI joints are cranky, the muscles around there are going, oh, what are you doing? This is going to hurt. So we're playing on edges. Listen for those edges. I'm going to put this off to the side for a second and move my block out of the way. Now we're going to do little bridge. There's a good chance you've done this before. We've talked about this exercise a few times. Excuse me. It is a good exercise for the glutes. My feet are planted, okay? and I'm going to lift up. Now, this time it's not so much about the spine and the movement up through the shoulders. It's about the glutes. So I want you to lift and control this down. Now, here's the deal. This has progressive levels. This is the first level, pressing right here, okay? Now, if you do have a cranky SI joint, I do want to give you one tip before we go any further. And I'm going to turn slightly sideways here so you can see my knees. If I lift and my knees are pressing out to the side, sometimes that can create a response into the SI joint area, like it's pressing, pushing, pinching. I don't like to say the word pinching because all of a sudden your brain goes, oh yeah. What I'm going to do to just kind of back off from that is consciously, instead of just letting my knees go where they usually go for their strongest movement pattern, I'm going to bring my knees in about an inch. They're not touching. They're just from here to here. Now on video it probably looks way more than an inch, which if I actually measured it might be. But knees are in slightly, lifting up and back down. Lifting up and back down. Now, I'm going to take this one step further. I'm going to take my right ankle across my left knee, and I'm going to lift here and back down. This is going to be a stronger activity for the muscle because now you're targeting one side. Okay? Good. And then we're going to switch sides. Hamstring may feel like it's cramping. Okay? When you switch sides, when you're doing it in this figure 4 position, I do want you to move your knee away. Like if I was going to turn this way to show you, instead of just letting my leg hang out in this position, I'm opening it up a little bit. I'm actively externally rotating that leg to lift. Good. And we're lifting right here. Maybe 2 legs on the ground. Maybe 1 leg on the ground. Good. We do that one more time. Either both feet on the ground, knees slightly in just the littlest bit, lifting up for a little bridge, or you can take your right ankle and you can see my knee where it sits relaxed, or if I actively externally rotate that leg and lift up. Now, it's not so easy to keep the knees in for that, but it's something that you can try. Again, actively opening that left knee up, lift, and down. You can bring that heel close into your glute. And watch that you're not pushing with your elbows to do too much of the movement. Although, by pressing with your elbows, it does give you that kind of middle ground. If you're strong enough to do 2 legs, but you could use a little support for 1 leg, you can use those elbows and put them on the ground. All right, now, next one is going to be kind of that, you know what I said about that SI joint getting cranky if the knees are out? We're actually going to actively do this. Now, if when your knees are out, that kind of triggers your SI joint, A, you can skip this exercise, or B, you can try it and play with it, okay? Remember, we do want to create curiosity about movement because an external rotation with glute activation is an actually quite normal movement. So we don't want to completely avoid things but we have to kind of play that edge of if it is a triggering thing right now, or if it's something we can try one or two of to see what happens. So I'm going to take this band, and it's going to go up around above my knees, okay? I'm going to get back into that little bridge position. Now I'm going to put my feet together, and my knees are going to come out a little bit in that butterfly position. Okay, so if I was going to turn towards you, feet are together, knees are out. I'm going to push through my feet and lift up. Okay, so now we're doing an active butterfly. Now, depending on your SI joint, you may want to do this without a band. You may want to do this with a stronger band. But we're hanging out right here. And when you play with this, I want you to notice that you don't have to lift up as high as when we did little bridge. It doesn't need to be that kind of push, especially if your SI joint is cranky in this movement pattern. I want you to play with it. Even if you're only lifting off the ground an inch, or you're just activating it there. I know when I was in my depths of back pain, and I had an exercise physiologist tell me that I needed to be doing little bridge, I looked at them like they were on crack, because at that point of time in my movement pattern, little bridge was not something that I could do in any way. So again, we want to play with these movements. Even if we're just laying there thinking about it and visualizing it, that could help too. We're going to do one more round of those little butterfly lifts, okay? So, and get it? Butterfly. Sorry. As I was writing this out, I was like, oh, that's so funny. Anyways, knees out to the side, okay? And lifting. And again, we're playing with how far we're moving. We're playing with how far the knees are out. We can even press those knees out a little bit further. But we have to remember that external rotation with glute activation is a common movement pattern. So if we can isolate it and get the body used to it, a little more comfortable doing it, and it does just take practice. And again, we're not pushing through. We're playing on edges. We're experimenting with movement. We're being curious about what we can do today. Because there's a good chance that if we do just a couple visualizations today, a little bit more visualization in the next few days, that the body gets a little more comfortable with it and it ends up actually being able to do the movement. Doesn't have to be a perfect movement as to what you see on Instagram. It just has to be something that you connect with in your body with that little bit of ease. Not gripping, not bracing, being able to feel grounded. Find that movement, all right? Now we're going to get to that block. So we've done a lot of external rotation things, which is kind of what one of the primary movements of the glutes is, to be able to get the leg to externally rotate. The other movement is a push, okay? So when we walk, part of that glute movement is the leg traveling underneath us and extending behind us, which is usually why, I've mentioned this before, when your back really hurts, we kind of tuck the tailbone, we kind of lean forward, and we take steps like this. You can see how my leg doesn't travel behind me. And then you end up going to a doctor, physiotherapist, a manual therapist of some point, and they assess your movement, and they're like, well, your glute is inactive, so that's why your back hurts. It was kind of the reverse of that. Your glute activity lessened because you had back pain. Now, in that, remember, as you don't use muscles, when you don't use them, they atrophy, they shrink, they get less useful because they're not used as much. So we do want to get them going again. This is what this whole class is for. Now, in terms of that extension through the glute, or that extension through your hip, and that glute work, That's where this block comes in. I'm going to put this lower, okay? I don't want to step up that high. Now, you do, if you want, have a weight. Remember, you can always use a milk jug, half full, fully full, little bit, anything. I've got a weight here that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to step up. Now, I will end up off screen slightly, but it's 1 foot up, and I'm stepping up, controlling this down, okay? I'm going to do 5 to 6 on each side. My knee is up, my foot is up, press. You could put your foot on 2 steps and do the same movement, okay? Good. Do a couple more. And you'll notice when your body starts getting tired and trying to use its stronger movement pattern, you'll lean forward more like that. I want you to remain as upright as you possibly can. Okay? And we're going to switch sides because we don't want to just do one side. We want to do both sides. Foot is up. Press. And come back down. Press. And come back down. The nice thing about using stairs is that you'd likely have a rail to hold on to. You can hear my breathing's getting a little heavier. This is some solid work. Good. Not to mention, I will admit, my left side, not as strong as my right side, okay? Now, whether that's due to my back, because it's usually my left side that's the crankiest, or that I'm right hand dominant. Let's do other side again. Okay. Either way, I want you to find the strength in this movement. Okay? You don't need a weight, but I do want you to challenge yourself just a little bit. Good. All right. Switching sides again. And you've probably noticed I am horrible at counting. Okay? I'm not really here to count. I'm here to explain how to do something, why we're doing it, different intricacies of the movement that we're doing, so that as you develop this skill, you will be able to notice these little different patterns. Okay? So, that is that big one-legged step. Now, excuse me, we're going to do 2 more movements. Stick with me. Next one, it's called a Bulgarian squat. Now, this box is kind of high for that, but what you're going to do is you just take 1 big step out. Your foot goes back. We are squatting down and pressing up. Quick tip. Your back leg is going to try and help you. I want it to be all front leg, okay? Now, I'm going to switch legs again just so that you can see. So if I'm at the place where my foot's going to be, I just take 1 big step out. Take my other foot, pop it up there, squat down, press up. I want it to be right leg dominant, doing the work. Now, as you do this, you may notice a stretch on that left front quad. I don't want you to go into a deep stretch. We're not looking for screaming stretch movements. I want you to find your range of movement. Now, I've been working on my range of movement pretty much all my life. So I have a pretty deep range of movement in that. You may find, I'm going to switch legs, okay? So from where your foot is, 1 step and out, you may find you get that far. And that's great. The biggest thing I want you to notice is when you do that, sink into the crease of that hip. Okay? Move into that hip socket. Press through your foot. You're standing up, straight. Okay? We're going straight up. I want that left leg doing all the work. All right. We're going to switch legs again. Other side. Okay. Excuse me. All this talking. Just getting over a cold, plus dealing with a little bit of an allergy, so those two things don't combine well. But you find your range, press through that heel of that right leg. You're not gripping the floor with your little toes. You're pressing and moving. I'm going to do 2 more. And if you find this isn't too bad, you can always add weight to it. Okay? There's easy ways to add a little bit more complexity, a little bit more load, a little bit more range, all these different things. So I just did that leg. Here we go. Left side. And then we have one more movement to do. Good job in staying with me here. Targeting these glutes isn't always an easy thing to do. Excellent. Whew. Now, one more movement. We're going to get down on the floor one more time. No weights, no resistance band, just a basic kickback. You can be on your forearms, you can be on your hands if you'd like, but you're going to lift your leg and reach up. Now, looks pretty easy, but here's the thing. I showed you that gait pattern, how when we walk, we want that leg traveling underneath us. When we walk, to get that movement, we're not extending our rib cage forward to help with that extension in the lower back. So when you do this movement, if you've been doing critical alignment therapy with me, you're going to have an idea of what I'm about to say. I don't want your upper body, your rib cage, to be swaying and doing movement. I want you to focus this on that lower part, so that as you lift, it connects to the lower back. We're not dropping, okay? Leg comes down, leg goes up. Leg comes down, leg goes up. You find your range. We're extending back. Okay, I'm going to switch legs. Now, primary thing is that I don't want the upper body involved. I want this to be a lower body movement so that as you press up, you can feel your glute fire, possibly even feel it move into your lower back. Now, there's one more little thing the body's going to try and do. It's going to try and take your strongest movement pattern, which tends to be an external rotation, which if you remember at the beginning of this class, we talked about when we were doing that band extension out, which was an external rotation. This is straight. So if I turn and face you this way, I want you to notice how my leg goes straight up, okay? Tendency is your leg will want to do this. See how it rotated out to the side? I want it straight up. So you're pushing that heel straight up to the ground, sky, and your knee is pointing straight down at the ground. Okay, so try the other leg. Last move. This is it. See how my leg wanted to do that right away? Okay, heel points straight up. Heel points straight up. Knee points straight down. You may even notice there's a huge difference. You might notice your body really wants to do that rotation. Focus. Try and keep it controlled. Good. Just like that. And that is your glutes. Okay? I talked a little bit about the movement that the glutes do, external rotation when we walk. Ideally right now what I want you to do is go for a walk. Whether you're walking in circles in your kitchen or you can get outside and go for a 5-minute walk. When you walk, I want that conscious extension back. Notice how I'm upright. I'm not doing this, okay? I'm doing the exact same movement. Leg is going back, connecting through the glute into that lower back, okay? Not, I'll turn around. This is the tendency when our back hurts, all right? So find that movement. As much as we just did a glute workout, anytime you go for a walk, you can incorporate that knowledge. I'm not saying go for a 30-minute walk and focus on that the entire time. That's way too much. But if you're out for a walk in your neighborhood, you can pick the end of the block that you focus that walk to, and then don't worry about it, okay? Bring in a little bit of awareness here and there. Don't overdo it, okay? With that, that's the end. You're likely going to feel your glutes tomorrow. May feel your SI joint, might feel your lower back. This has been a tissue adaptation class, okay? We move with curiosity. We move with ease. Even though it's work, there's that stability, grounding, mobility, but not the bracing and gripping, all right? Lots to go over from this class. Please, if you have any feedback, any questions, please message me. Either way, enjoy, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.